Yeah, I want to say hi to Eric too. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Bruce, you want to say hello to Eric?
Hey, Eric.
Ralph?
Thanks for joining us. Eric, get off my lawn.
There you go. Sparky 107 wants to know how can he get to watch A Model Is Life or listen to A Model Is Life? How can he do that?
If he goes to amodelerslife.com, there's links there to the free site, which is Libsyn and iTunes, and there's other. You can get it on Google Play. He can get it on TuneIn and Spotify. But if he goes to the website, amodelerslife.com, there's links right there.
Zappa Gap.
Yeah. It's a CA type clue. Kevin said Flex-File plastic weld. And Ron was saying MEK.
No, I can use. No, I can weld with acetone. That works. It's beautiful. But I can't print this job in ABS. It has to be PLA.
So what I have here is, you'll see that I've got 9 different LEDs on here, and they're just kind of slowly changing. One comes on, one comes off. You know, it's kind of a slow pace. We could sit here all night watching this very slowly go, but you know, if you actually had these in windows in your different buildings, or even one in each different building, it doesn't even have to be windows in the same building, then you'd want it to go this slow or maybe even slower. And that's about the only thing I'm going to have to show you in the sketch. So we're going to go back to that real quick. Actually, let's build this thing first. So I just put it together so that you could see what we're going to end up doing. And what I'm going to do is just unplug my Arduino and tear this thing apart real quick.
Ari, yep. I haven't got a chance to catch up with any of these guys lately. Probably froze under up in the UP. I can't imagine the kind of weather they have. Just as cold as it's been around here, I can't imagine what it'd be like up there. See, 4 feet of snow. See, I feel bad about complaining about just cold weather when there's 4 feet of snow anywhere. What railroad is NC? NC and St. L that I know of. Fallen Flag, the L&E had purchased many, many years ago. Can't think of a railroad that's just NC. It's a U.S. prototype. Well, North Carolina has that. There's a North Carolina Heritage Railroad. Yeah, there's North Carolina Railroad, but it's basically a private corporation, a branch line corporation that's been recently put together. And then the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad is a heritage railroad over in North Carolina that has a North Carolina banner, but that's the Great Smokies is the actual railroad, but that's just a tourist line. But it does look like there's a little short line, North Carolina, a little short line railroad. There's a lot of those popping up. I think those are great to model, and not a lot of people do model them. But there is a railroad. There's a bunch of those. North Carolina Railroad, there's a really interesting Wikipedia page about the North Carolina Railroad, reporting mark NCRR, 307-mile state-owned rail corridor. I think those are short lines. There's also one, the North Carolina-Virginia Railroad, or the Genesee and Wyoming. That the Genesee and Wyoming Short Line Service Railroad operates the North Carolina-Virginia Railroad, or did at some point. Yeah, possibly, probably. There's a lot of these little short lines, though, and that's a sad thing that a lot of people don't model those. If you're modeling modern era, that seems much more tenable, much more accomplishable to model a small short line than to try to model, some big section of the Union Pacific or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have. They've got. There's a few horizontal stripes, not a lot of stripes on theirs. The Great Smoky Mountains does have stripes on the head end, but it's like maroon and yellow. But it does have the stripes on it, like the Santa Fe kind of made famous. And it is, it is technically North Carolina Railroad, Nevada Central. All right, that makes sense. I'm looking for those. I can't see any evidence that the Nevada Central ever had diesels, though. It looks like it was all, that it went away prior to dieselization. All the pictures and stuff I'm finding for Nevada Central was steam. It looked like the Union Pacific took that line over a long time ago. I'm not sure yet, though. Well, a little branch line would be great. The NCRR, the North Carolina Railroad, is a little short line, modern era short line, East Coast, of course. There's also one called the North Coast Railroad, NC, but they actually abbreviate it CR for the Coast Railroad, or NCR possibly. But that's the North Coast Railroad is in California, Northern California. Looks like they're using a lot of old Southern Pacific equipment.
Hey, how's it going, Johnny? How's that other Andy doing? He looks like as if using different garb today. I don't know what's he.
That's right, incognito today.
It kind of looked like it.
Yeah. That's it.
There you go. That's what it is. The only thing is you got to change the glasses to sunglasses or something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, I don't think I have any mirror finished ones.
Then you look real shady.
A little bit.
Put an earbud in your ear or something like that, and man, you'd be all set to go.
Yeah, a little springy cord.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can pull that. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. So we talking about short lines today?
That was a good start. Yeah, I seen that. Me and him have been chatting a little bit recently. He said he'd been recovering from it. Stuff's hard on us. Somebody hit him in the rear end is what he told me, I think.
How about now, Michael? Can you hear me now?
You sound like a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, Michael said something. I looked up at my streaming software, and yep, my mic wasn't on.
Huh. Okay.
It gets a little nutty because I got two different microphones. I got one for the stream and one for the up here. If I mic the stream mic so nobody hears me there, everybody can hear me on up here. I get confused easily. Well, hopefully y'all been seeing the new announcement video that we put out. Tomorrow's the day. We got the new show starting tomorrow. It'll be posted at 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be called Mall Railroad Views. And the first topic is the hobby dying? Our very own Andy Crawford is the moderator, along with Steve Atwell, Ron Marsh, and Steve Brown.
So Andy's going to be the MC, huh? Master of Ceremonies.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was much of a ceremony for it.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne, what do you want to talk about tonight? We'll let Dwayne pick the topic.
Yeah, Dave's BNSF said Nashville Chattanooga. That's what I mentioned a minute ago for NC and St. L. That was an interesting railroad that went way along. But it's a fallen flag. I'm pretty sure that was merged into it eventually become part of what's now CSX. I think it went that way by way of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. I'm pretty sure the L&E had bought the NC and St. L, but it could have been the Seaboard Coastline or something that purchased it. But either way, it ended up as part of the family lines and then the CSX.
Yeah, Ari said as long as the old timers, I know he's not talking about me, pass it down when their time is up, they'll never die.
Well, that's the hope. We'll hear everybody's thoughts on it. I think most people in the hobby don't think it's dying and definitely think there's a future for the hobby. I think there is too. You'll see.
Kevin Jones. Yeah, Kevin Jones just second the emotion, Andy.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was L&E. I was an L&E modeler for the vast majority of my life because I grew up on a branch line of the Louisville and Nashville, and so it's what I knew. And I grew up modeling that. And only once I fell in love with steam power did I start looking at anything else. And if you're going to fall in love with steam, especially big steam, there's only about 4 or 5 railroads that, there's 4 or 5 railroads that are just a natural fit if you're a steam modeler. The PNC, Norfolk Western, of course, PNC, UP, Southern Pacific. There's a few, but not very many.
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. But Santa Fe, and it depends on what you care about. If you care about, if it's just steam, you could be a narrow gauge modeler or anything else. And a lot of those guys really like the kind of diminutive or the smaller steam locomotives. But if you like big steam,
talk about Rio Grande and Rio Grande Southern.
Absolutely.
Whoa. And a bad feedback from somebody. Might be Andrew. You're moving your laptop.
Okay.
Lost you for a second there, but
yeah.
If you like big steam power, 110, 120 foot long, big or heavy articulateds.
Okay.
There's a few, and a lot of railroads had 1 or 2 of them, but the Norfolk and Western, as like the Southern Pacific and some of the others, big articulated power was ruled the rails. But there's only a few railroads where that was really the case, where the big power, like the C&O, the B&O, big Appalachian railroads ran big articulated power.
Yeah, I don't know if I should get excited or I should worry. I was talking to my brother-in-law the other day, and he's in an apprenticeship program with Fiat Chrysler as an electrician. He says he's talking to several people about figuring out how to do PLC for my Octagon.
Yeah. Well, that used to be fairly expensive to do, but there's some relatively affordable PLC controllers these days.
Yeah, he says you can get one for about $100.
Yeah, I'll try to look up that one that I had looked at for doing the home automation stuff with. That we have used that brand for some clients' lighting controls for marketing campaigns. They're relatively affordable, and there's a lot of YouTube videos on integrating those with less industrial systems. But that's really what an Arduino is anyway. An Arduino's not very. It's a microcontroller, but the difference in an Arduino and a PLC is negligible. They're pretty close. To do much of the same job, that is.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing starts to unwind and once I get going on it. I have to start posting it and keep everybody abreast of what's going on with that.
Well, that doesn't seem that complicated. I mean, it is complicated. There's no question about it being complicated, but we used to do, quite complicated arrangements with just diode matrices back years ago. So it's possible to just set a route, use diode matrices to apply the correct power. I mean, I could figure out how to wire that and it work with even DC, but it's a lot of individual components and a doggone lot of copper.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a little break right here. Those in the chat, y'all see the link I just put up. I was looking at different groups. Dave Piper suggested MeWe as a replacement for G+. So I've opened a groups page on there. So if y'all want to, go check that out. I ain't got much on it, but I need at least 5 members so that it'll show up in their groups listing. I got it listed under hobbies. So if y'all don't mind, so I need at least 5 people go over and join that group so I can get listed where people can see it when they go in there and start searching.
Dr. Wayne, I don't think it's dying necessarily either. I think a lot of people miss a lot of opportunities for our hobby to grow. I think our hobby's ripe to grow but people are not introduced to this hobby. Young people are not introduced to this hobby the way I was when I grew up, and generations before me when they grew up, they were introduced to this hobby. So they're not anymore. That's a problem.
Yeah. Michael, he got a new loco. Only moves when I hit 5 through 6 full power on my Digitrack Zephyr. Likely a programming issue. Dave BNSF says start voltage issue.
Yeah, that sounds right. First thing, I mean, if it's a brand new locomotive out of the box, that may be less likely that it's programming, but the moment you get a problem with a decoder, just do a reset on it. You're always start from a factory configuration. I do it on all of them. I don't want to mess with any nuance that happen to be there. If it happened to have been a return decoder, if they'd tested it, done something screwy, it's too easy to pull it into JMRI into Decoder Pro, do a reset on the thing to factory, and start making your changes. Howdy, Ralph.
Oh, hey, Ralph. You starting to feel better now? Michael will be. I'm so tongue-tied tonight I can't even pronounce his last name.
Libertino.
Yeah, he just come in. Yeah, Ralph said he is. Yep. But if anybody's got any topics, watch the show and put them down in the comments if you got suggestions for topics for that new series. And if you want to volunteer, you can email me or Big Bill. Emails are on YouTubeModelBuilders.com.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Definitely, Ralph. I'm sure that would be a...
Yeah, he's saying just keep the kids and the dog off my lap. So what you got going on right now, Andrew?
Oh, still fighting with 2 4-legged critters. So I don't get it much done. The last thing I tried to do is I tried making chain link fence.
Use a tool or use a
using tool, yes.
Yeah.
Probably the smallest one, which I think would probably be the correct size for HO scale. And you know them electronic fly swatters you get at Harbor Freight?
Yep.
They can take apart and you make your static grass applicators. I saved all those little metal pieces and I tried making the fence post and everything else. It turned out okay, but I think I need to use silver solder or something like that because it's. I went to go stretch the tool over it, and it's kind of like it started falling apart on me. And I knew it was a good joint as far as soldering goes too.
No, because those metal pieces are chromed, and solder doesn't stick to that very well.
I couldn't get it to stick. I thought they were useful. I still got a whole pile of them. I took them apart and threw them in a box in case they were useful as well.
About the only way you could probably do it is take a file and file it right there where you're going to put the solder at, just to break that chrome plating up.
Well, I was using, I think it was 60-40 solder, so but I might try something different. I mean, I got the chrome to stick, or not the chrome, but the solder to stick, well. But, and pick it up, move it around. But once I went to go put the tool on there, and I don't know if I had too much tension on it or what, but well, it looks like as if I could run this in some industrial area and it looked pretty damn good.
I tried to solder it as well. I couldn't get it to take. And I wanted to do like some storm doors, and I wanted some fairly fine material. So I bought some mesh. That's the kind of mesh material that's got a very specific size. I've got a couple different sizes of this material and it's what they grade soils and coal and stuff like that. Different grades of it. So a lot of that material you get where the weave will vary and change around. These are perfectly square weaves and of a certain size. So this would be this is a 0.55 or 0.055, 0.07075. This one's a little finer. Yeah, this is the one that's really close to the correct scale for, and there's a mesh scale on the internet, a graph, and then do a little math to figure out what's 1/87th. This is pretty close to this was pretty close to chain link fencing, and this is pretty close to, it's a little too large, but pretty accurate for doing storm doors or for screen mesh at HO scale. So I'm going to use that to make storm doors with, and that for chain link.
But I tell you, trying to get that tool to go diamond shape, I guess is what you'd call it. That's, my eyes wasn't going bad.
Yeah, that's what I figured I would do. This one for chain link is I'd get it in big old sheets, but these are sample sizes of it. I'd get it cut across it diagonally to get the correct. But that way, if this is with this material, everything stays perfectly in square. So anything looks pretty good from a distance. The idea is that this would be accurate even if you got down close with a photo.
But those pieces of metal that came off that fly swatter, I measured them out, and they work out to be about was it 3.5 scale inches in diameter, which is probably about right for a fence. Yeah,
for an industrial fence for sure. A typical one in somebody's yard these days would be like 1.5 inch or 2 inch pipes, but a big industrial fence would be a little larger, or like a 10 foot tall or an 8 foot tall fence would be a little larger.
Yeah, I'm trying to do 6 foot.
Yep. But an industrial application, everything's going to be built stout or more stout than the 3 foot fences you have in residential fencing.
Yeah.
How you doing, William Sullivan? And Ron from Down Under popped in. That's one for you to do, Andy. Show on fencing. I want to see how you do the barbed wire, though.
Well, I've seen barbed wire done. You can't recreate the barbs, but there is somewhat of a trick for making what looks like a barbed wire fence.
From what I've seen, was it Luke Toan or something did it? And he took nylon screening and just cut it so you just got that little nib. You just got like one strand and one just above it and just below it, so it gets that little
barb like in it.
Yep.
Yeah, what you need to do, if you wanted to create a close-up look, the barbs would be hard, but if you wanted to create close-up, take a really small, like a magnet wire, take two of them and twist them together, because with a barbed wire, you have 2 or 3 strands twisted together and then the barbs on it. So you could get real close. I don't know about recreating the barbs, other than, maybe you could, little tack of glue every scale few inches, but that sounds pretty tough to pull off. In O scale, or, 1/35th or something at mill scale, you can pull that off.
And still, you're going for the illusion.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And twisting a couple magnet wires together and running across your posts are probably pretty decent. And PDC, or Precision Design, PDC.ca, the company that sells the resin impregnated paper fish plates that I use, or round shorter plates, whatever fish plates they are. He sells the fence posts, like have been used, most all my life that I remember, those metal fence posts that have that little V at the bottom of it where you stick them in the ground, has the little clips going up.
Oh.
He sells those in a paper product. So if you wanted to make a 1960s and up chain link fence, you could put those metal posts in and string along some magnet wire or something. You'd have something that looked pretty doggone close for a modern fence. In my era, it's going to be you need little toothpicks basically to make the posts with. But I can't imagine doing the barbs. You could maybe recreate the barbs if you. It's going to require, if you were doing a small section of it, you stuck a little piece of 2 or 3 mil static grass to it every so often, that might be possible. But I've tried to do static grass with tweezers, and that is, I don't have enough patience for it. I tried to put a few individual pieces of static grass in that way, just in between bricks, and that was hard enough.
Let's see if I can open this one. Show you what I've. Let's see. I'm not going to show what is it since it's on my this one. Nope, that's not it.
There's some things that are really hard to make. If somebody could produce something like that as a commercial product, that seems doable.
Yeah, metal etching may work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought about that. I was thinking about that too. It's awful fine. Trying to etch something down to the size of, you can, of course, because you could do it as electrical traces on circuit boards, which are etched. You could get down that fine.
You really don't need it to be 3D per se. It could still be flat, not have to bend it, so it could go down that small and just, glue it to the post.
Right. Yeah, you probably could etch that, possibly.
Yeah.
Gosh, though, the barbs are like an inch tall total, and recreating anything that's an inch in HO scale is pretty tough. There's limits. I have to realize those too. Not everything is recreatable in every scale. There's some things that just cannot be done at HO scale.
Yeah.
Some things that that you have to go to O scale or larger to do. Hence the reason people go to O scale. The people who love all those details go to O scale or larger scales.
Well, Ron Bortz just put up there, I got 11 people signed up on the site now. That's good.
Yeah, that's all that problem.
Now I'll hopefully show up in the hobbies category so people can find it a lot easier. Ari put up there that it only took him 2 seconds to sign up.
Yeah, it took me nothing too. Drop it in, verify your email, you're in.
I didn't put any limits on that for signing up. Some of the ones had limits on there. They were asking you to show at least some kind of railroading pictures and stuff like that before they'd approve you on sign up. Hey, Marty. Check your email. I sent you an invite from Johnny Reb. Yeah, I went whole hog on it. Just started up a whole new email and everything. Spent a little time this afternoon transferring some names over to the new one, so I'd have a few contacts so I could send out some invites.
Yeah. I got so much stuff to maintain already, but I will try out anything new service. That does look interesting. You know, since you invited me a little bit ago, I just haven't had a chance to play with it much yet.
Yeah. So what's for lunch today, Marty? Yeah, Marty's sitting there complaining he's still got to work a little bit. Then his weekend starts because Friday.
Well, I won't have a day off again until maybe next weekend, it looks like. So I got to fly out Saturday. Then I'm gone Saturday through Wednesday, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, have fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like it's work, but it's not like I'm getting sent somewhere to go dig ditches, so it's hard to complain about it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is work, but I'm getting sent to a resort in Las Vegas, so I feel bad about complaining about that.
Yeah, get yourself wined and dined a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's still like work, though, man. When they pay you all that money when they pay all that money to send you somewhere like that, it's 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. every night, and they want you there. Because if they're going to pay the money.
Yep.
Conferences are hard. They're kind of fun, though. I enjoy them. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
Oh, you need to change, hurry up and buy a new car before that donut wears down. They're only good for about 25 miles.
Well, they say 45 miles, and I've already replaced it, by the way. I already had a regular tire put back on it, so I'm good to go there. But back when I was young and foolish mostly, well, young and foolish and poor as well, I used to compete with people over who could get the longest out of a donut tire. For years, I had the record at a little over 1,000 miles until somebody finally beat me years later. They told me they got 1,300 out of one of them, but I didn't try to push it. I didn't even get 45 before I went and bought a new tire. So
Yeah.
I had one first a week because that experience of changing, I hadn't changed a tire in a lot of years, and I hate to be a baby about it, but that experience was enough to teach me. Which honestly, they were good tires. They weren't wore out. So,
yeah, I took my bridge over to one meet and went up there. Took my truck up there, pulled it up there, set it up, and I was going to go back home and drive up the next day. Took my wife's car. It had a slow leak, and I got around the Wisconsin Dells, and there went the driver's side front tire.
Ooh.
And it's kind of like, you got that little donut tire, and which way do you go? I'm halfway home and halfway to the,
Back to the show.
where they were set up.
well, changing a tire wouldn't be that big of a deal. The last time I changed a tire was a lot of years ago, quite a few years ago. And last time I changed a tire, the vehicle I had, whatever that car it was, had a regular setup. When I went and got up under the truck or whatever in the back of the truck to get this spare tire to change it, the parts or the tools that they give you, the jack and all that stuff, looked like some off-brand director set toy to try to jack the car up with. I mean, it's pretty weak. Little stamp tin kind of little job.
Well, I got to say one thing. They're better nowadays than what they used to be with that bumper jack they used to have. So you take all the tension off the spring before you finally get the wheel off. I think he had the car up at about a 45-degree angle before the tire come off the ground.
This was like that. I had to crank at it for a while.
Had that little slot in the bumper. Or if you go back further, it didn't have that little slot, and you just kind of hooked it underneath the bumper.
Yeah, the jack had the hook on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And spend the next half hour jacking that bugger up.
Yeah.
Is it off the ground yet? Nope. Keep going.
Yeah.
And you got maybe about that far from the top of your jack, and finally you got that wheel off the ground?
Yeah. I'd about give up on it. I was almost fully extended before the tire come up when I was doing it the other day. It didn't have any room. Michael Conley said he has another loco that won't let him reprogram it. Reads back DNR. So would Decoder Pro help him with it, he says. I don't know that Decoder Pro, I'm a fan. I say to everybody, if you're going to use DCC, and I think most people should, Decoder Pro does nothing that you can't do with just a throttle if you know the CVs. The problem is you've got to know all that stuff and know how to work through it, troubleshoot it the hard way. What Decoder Pro gives you is a really nice graphical user interface to work with it, and it's bonehead simple. So it'll allow you to correct things that may be correctable with the throttle, but you may not know how to correct it with a programming throttle. And it's just super easy because there's a button to reset the thing. So I won't say that Decoder Pro would help you in a way that the other wouldn't. Technically, it sure makes it a lot easier, and it'll keep it'll reduce the amount of human errors you make, because programming CVs manually is it's somewhat difficult if you're not already used to doing it.
Michael asked a while ago. He said something about he got a DNR.
Yeah.
Up on the screen, Ralph typed in "do not resuscitate."
I think it's did not read, but do not resuscitates. Maybe that decoder has just decided it wants to die, and it says "don't bring me back." That's possible, or it could be the did not read code or whatever too. So.
And Michael's also asking, I need 2 bridges or trestles to fill a 26-inch space. What do you recommend?
All depends on what style of bridge you want to build. If you're building a steel trestle, the micro-engineering steel trestle kits can easily be combined to make any length of bridge you want. In my case, I'm building one about 5 feet long. If you want to build a wood trestle, you could buy there's a kit that Robert Holloman's got that's a good start. But most importantly, all you really need to build a trestle, if you want to build a wood trestle, is just get the jig or the paper templates for the trestle bits, lay them down, glue some styrene to it or something, so you could put strip wood in it. You can make any size bridge you want with just a handful of sticks.
5-footer, huh, Andy? That's a small one.
I know, it's cute. That's the biggest bridge I can fit in this place, and I have to go across an aisle to get a bridge that big in. It's way up above your head going across an aisle. Yeah. Everything I could do to fit a 5-foot bridge.
Well, Michael, I'll tell you what, before you rip the guts out of that thing, if you got time, try and join in on the chat during the weekend. Well, maybe Marty can get in here too, because Marty was just saying that if you can't read the decoder with your system, JMRI is not going to read it either.
Yeah. JMRI does nothing for you that your system won't do itself. All it does is put a nice graphical interface on top of it. Now, some of the systems by default have some problems with programming. Having enough power, for example, for the decoders that have sound systems in them, that's a problem with some DCC systems. The reason that I bought a Sprague initially, even though I intended to buy a commercial DCC system, was because of that problem. And I wanted to get programming right away and get familiar with JMRI. Although I would build a DCC++ system or a SPROG and have a dedicated programming system that eliminates any challenge that you have to programming, and it gives you always gives you a mechanism for confirming that whatever problem you're having with the decoder is not with your DCC system itself. If you have a separate programming system,
Yeah,
be it a SPROG or a Raspberry or whatever it is.
Yeah, Michael said it's new, 3 months or so. Runs fine, but it's stuck on 03. Won't let me reprogram it to its engine number. He says it's an Athearn engine, and Ralph's asking what make it is.
Yeah, I think they use a lot of Tsunamis.
Yeah, I don't know what Athearn used for their decoders.
I think Tsunami, for the most part, Tsunami 2s now. And Tsunamis were the ones that were kind of notorious for being difficult to program. Well, I don't know about difficult to program. They had problems. A lot of DCC systems did not have enough power to program them on the programming track because of the sound system's power draw. So, yeah, Vincent said he used a SPROG too, and it helped with a lot of these issues he was having.
Yeah, okay, it puts out more power.
Yep, or the SPROG, or you could do the Pi SPROG like Marty builds built on a Pi. That's really handy. But just the SPROG's USB hooks to your computer, or you could build a DCC++ system with an Arduino on the cheap as well. And the benefit to both of those are however much power you have through like my plus system, however much power I've got to the track, in my case, 5 amps, I have the same amount of power on the programming track. There's no separation. It's no reduced power for the programming. But Soundtrax makes a little device that you could add to your NCE or Digitrax or whatever system as well to boost up that programming power.
Yeah, here's my fencing.
Yeah, it looks like solder took pretty well.
There's a little jig I made for it.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Love that. I love that HVAC tape, that aluminum tape.
Yeah, I've got some of that. I hadn't thought about using it in that case.
It holds it down. It holds it in place, and it's fairly easy. I mean, that's just a little. I'm going to say roughly 3/8 by 3/8 pieces.
Yeah. But it'll take the heat, whereas when I stick stuff down with paper tape or something, as soon as I hit it with soldering iron, it just cuts loose.
So I get everything lined up, and I went and soldered it, but when I went to put it back in and try to put the tool on there, it started crumbling. So I think, like I say, that's a 60/40 solder. I think maybe if I went to something that's more of a silver solder, it might do a better job.
But I love the silver solder. That was a trick I was taught many years ago, head laying turnouts, and soldering the throw bars onto the points because they're put under so much stress, and using silver solder for that. You've got to get the stuff hot. I mean, real hot. But
well, I got the little torch, so
yep.
It's got the small tip on it, or I can get a small enough tip on it, so that's not going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
But I got to see if I still got flux, and I got to see if I got some silver solder.
Oh, Michael, real quick, if you're going to program on the main, make sure there are no other engines sitting on the layout, because you will reprogram every one of them. Just put the one you want on your main line, take everything completely off. We had one fellow, dude Lendler, he had like, I don't know, between 25, 30 engines sitting on his layout. He programmed one on the main. And everything started moving.
Where it's, hey, who's in my block?
Yeah. Everything started moving.
And I put a toggle switch on my arrangement so I could cut the main, so I could just set one locomotive on the programming track that has the main fed to it, pull the toggle switch, it kills the main everywhere else, and I could use the main programming if I needed it. So far, I haven't found a reason to, but.
God, those good old days of DC. Hey, who's in my block? Who's got my train?
Yeah.
Just the amount of wire that we had to run for the things. I mean, that big club layout I was a member of, we 10 cabs, but they were all thrown by the dispatcher. So you did not throw your cabs. The dispatcher controlled the power.
Yeah,
rotary. Doggone, it was a lot. Yeah, rotaries. Boy, it was a lot of wire. I mean, tremendous amount of wire we ran. Tim,
How you doing, Tim?
Oh, not too bad.
I see that 5,000 brass worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out pretty decent. I also increased the strength of my acid.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. If your mix had worked out better this time.
I didn't remix it. I just dumped the rest of the bottle of hydrogen peroxide in there.
Yeah.
So I got to rechecking my calculations, and I think I mixed it the wrong direction the first time.
Had a Pollock moment, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's chemistry. That gets somewhat complicated. That's why the bottle of hydrochloric that I've got, I use it straight. But there is more risk in using straight hydrochloric as well. So you gotta be careful with the stuff.
Yeah, I may wind up buying some straight hydrochloric too.
But I would warn anybody about using it. I worked at that laboratory. We used hydrochloric and nitric and a few other kinds of acids. And I got hydrochloric acid poisoning once because the hood, the exhaust hood wasn't working very well. And it'd take me to the hospital from it. So it is worth being concerned about. And you need to be using it in a spray booth or somewhere where you can evac the fumes.
All right. Well, there's the...
Hey, buddy, that looks good.
Except for right in there, it got a little bit...
Yeah, it ain't
overexposed to the acid.
Well, that's the reason. What I understand about the benefit of hydrochloric is it's fast enough that you can put it in and it won't eat under your resist as much.
Yeah, that's the problem with this. It seems to be too slow, and it's actually eating.
Yeah. Yeah, it eats down through where it can, and then starts spreading out, horizontally.
But also, this would wind up not being aligned properly, so some of the...
Oh, yeah, front to back. Yeah, that's a trick. That's why that little pocket idea that Luke Tower showed off made a lot of sense.
That's what this was. I just didn't have it. I guess I didn't have it lined properly when I made the pocket.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, for the third run and with the really small pieces, those there are supposed to be in scale grills.
It worked. Of course, it'd take a few tries to truly master the technique, especially given the processes you're using. So,
yeah,
there's a lot of variables in this.
But now the ladder turned out.
Oh yeah, stairs. Oh man, that looks great. I desperately need to build one of those.
Well, let me see if I can get some.
Yeah, we saw it all right the first time.
Well, that didn't help none.
It looks good.
Getting way too much glare on it.
Well, he's trying to show the holes off in the steps.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those really come out well. But for how you put that together, where you just break it apart and bend it, right? Break it out of the frame.
Yeah, I took it out of the sprue and I just bent the side rails over.
Yeah.
And then I took the step and I bent them. There's the 10 thou one.
Yeah, I like that 5 thou. Looks really nice. That's not bad either, though.
If I could get a faster acid, 10 thou would be fine.
Absolutely.
That's pretty heavy weight too.
How solid does the 5 thou feel? I mean, as far as flexibility and construction, is it still a little flimsy? Okay, it's a little. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The 10 thous.
Looks different.
Yeah, Ralph's over here in the chat. He's going, put a piece of paper behind it, not your face. That's scary.
It does look good. Sure does. Etched is the way to make that stuff. I imagine that you could get the level of detail and finesse out of it with anything short of it being brass. If you're recreating metal.
I mean, I think I may remake my acid. I got some more peroxide tonight, and
but you got to go to your attic.
Yeah. I got plenty of muriatic acid. I got the gallon jug of it.
Yeah.
But I ran out of hydrogen peroxide last night, so.
Yeah, but those are much cheaper than buying like the hydrochloric. When I bought it, I only got a quart of it, maybe something like that. I mean, it's not a huge bottle of it. It was $25 or $30, so that's a cheaper, I think, to make. Well, it's cheaper in quantity because you can buy the muriatic in larger quantities.
I mean, the muriatic is hydrochloric acid. It's just like watered down hydrochloric or something. I'm not sure, or it's.
Yeah. There's something when you do the hydrogen peroxide. It's there's a. I read what the difference was, and I can't remember what it is. It's a different isotope of the same thing or something, or it's got an extra, it's got an extra oxygen molecule, something like that. I don't remember though. It's enough though. I mean, it's making very, very, very close to straight HCl, hydrochloric acid. Very close.
Yeah, Vincent.
It's safer to work with.
Vincent said, I need N-scale ladders for my SD9s. Could that work for me? Doing that etching?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, those smaller grills on there are, in scale. If I get them lined up, those little ones there.
Yeah.
This paper here.
Like Ralph said, we can still see your face.
Those are ones I worked with Dan on the measurements on, and these here are in scale. So, and these are HO for a SD80.
But I don't know what the difference is in adding hydrogen peroxide to it, because from what I read, hydrochloric and muriatic acid are absolutely the same thing, just different words for the same thing.
Yeah, supposedly hydrogen peroxide makes it a little bit stronger. Yeah, they're pretty much, from what I've read, muriatic and hydrochloric are pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah. Muriatic's just a different word for it. It's what I read as well.
That's the stuff the brick masons use, so it's got to be cheap.
Yep.
Yeah, I've used muriatic acid on concrete as well, but it may have to. Now, the muriatic acid that you're buying to do concrete with, or that you're buying commercially at any regular store, is just a much more diluted version of it. Versus what I bought hydrochloric acid. It's like 99% hydrochloric acid. They don't sell anything of that kind of strength at like Home Depot or out at a retail store because of the risk. Because it is a doggone strong. It is strong and risky if you're using it at a high concentration.
Well, looks like Ralph's kind of got Michael straightened up a little bit on his issues. And we done hit the 1 hour mark too, so anybody got any last questions or thoughts real quick?
Yeah, I tried to get in here earlier, but I had to help the wife get kids ready, so taking them to their mom's tonight because they're sick and we got to work.
Yeah, that's good. Make mama sick, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The one with the most points, Ralph, that's who won the Leaf game. And Michael Orbitino is looking for Pensy signals.
That's the same as I use. Position light or color position light. NJ International makes some selections of them, but if you're trying to get, like in my case, I need to recreate some signals that just are not made. The ones on the pole with the two stanchions, I can get the B&O type that have the speed signals above and below, but then you're going to pay big dollars and have to take them apart and just use the pieces of them anyway. So what Tim's doing there with etching those components, I'm just going to, and I've got all the brass material already to make them with. I'm just going to etch the components and make my own signals because the Norfolk and Western used effectively the same signals as the Pensy.
You talking about the NJ International, Ralph? He's saying you need to talk a little slower, Andy.
Yeah, that's hard for me to do. Yeah, NJ International makes position light signals, and several other companies make position light signals or color position light signals, CPL. The Pensy in the early days, just like the Norfolk and Western, had position lights where they were all amber, and they recreate the action of a semaphore. I've got one up above me, actually, but mine are all amber. But by 1954 of the Norfolk and Western, they had started converting to color. But mine are all amber. So you can get them. It's possible.
Yeah, later on tonight, I think I may remake my mix, and I'm going to go get some baking soda and try to absorb this other stuff into the baking soda so I can get rid of it.
But I found the difference in the two. It has to do with, ultimately, you get hydrochloric acid either way. Uric acid is a different process to get there, a different process to get to the hydrochloric acid. Ultimately, you have the same product, but what is typically with regular hydrochloric acid, it's used by dissolving a gaseous hydrochloric chloride or whatever hydrochloric into water, and muriatic is typically using the salt form to be dissolved into water.
The acids of salt.
Yeah. It's just two different methods to get you there. Typically, muriatic acid is of a lower concentration, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So,
I think that's why you're adding the peroxide, because you're adding more hydrogen and more oxygen back into it.
Yeah, I haven't read enough about the particulars of what hydrogen, about what hydrogen peroxide does to it. But I already had a high comfort level with working with hydrochloric acid. That's why I just bought the straight HCl. And you can get it off Amazon. It's not like you have to go to a laboratory supply company to get it.
I've started having better luck with getting the photo film on better, though.
That's the key, it looks like, from what I can understand.
Yeah, it is, and getting the timing right.
No doubt.
Photo exposure. For me, about 13 minutes is good with the light I'm using. I'm just using a standard incandescent floodlight.
Right. I'm going to get one of those, one of the ones that puts out particularly high UV. Like you can buy those that are meant for ladies to put their fingernails in to dry the whatever, one of those things or something. It's a UV activator kind of thing. But I think I'm just going to build it. I'm just going to build a little frame, out of plastic, or use a Tupperware container or something, and just put the high UV light inside.
They got the bulbs that are used in the water treatment process, purification process at like Lowe's and Home Depot. But man, they're expensive for those high UV bulbs.
But I found high UV strips somewhere that you could buy. Like it wasn't like a 16-foot strip, like strips. It was like 6-foot strips. But
no, you probably need probably 2 of them, no bigger than the sheets are that we're going to do.
That's right. But it's also handy because if I buy a 3D printer, I've been looking at the resin printers. If I ever decide to buy one of the printers, it's going to be one of the resin printers, and you need a UV light box to cure the resin. So it would do double duty for me.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we'll call this one a night. Being the last day of the month. Jeez, I've already got 2 months into this year. So don't forget, tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern time, we got a new series coming out, Mall Railroad Views. It's a recorded show. And the first topic is the hobby dying? Andy's the MC, and the panelists are Steve Atwell, Ron Marsh, and Steve Brown from... and that particular subject's got 3 segments to it, so they'll be coming out on every Friday. Yeah, I know that, Marty. He's saying it's already March there. But, so, anyway, check that out. It'll be up on YouTube, YouTubeMallBuilders.com. And we will be making a playlist for that also. So check it out. Let us know in the comments what you think about it, how you like it, and if you got other topics you want to hear, let us know. Alright, with that said, y'all have a good weekend, and we shall see you next week. Let me look at the calendar real fast, see what have I got. Not much. My show's next Thursday. We don't start having a bunch of shows until March the 12th, starting out with the fine scale. So then we got Big Bill's Talk Show on the 13th. Joe's Train Room will be on the 20th. So we shall see y'all next Thursday night. Everybody have a good weekend. Be safe. Be warm.
Yep.
We'll catch you later.